Setting out for a really intriguing fight in the featherweight division. A pair of 5-0 fighters. Anthony DIZY facing Darrion Caldwell. Dave and Buster's brings you our tale of the tape. Eat, drink, play.
You see both guys undefeated. That won't be the case at the end of tonight.
All right, gentlemen, first round. You ready? Darrion, you ready? Let's go, fight.
Round number one. Tonight's fight clock is brought to you by the official beer of Bellator, Miller Lite, back in its original look. See both fighters, the Frenchman DIZY, the American Caldwell in the black trunks. Caldwell has the red glove tape, DIZY has the blue glove tape. Straight to the ground we go. Somewhat predictably, Jimmy, both fighters great wrestling backgrounds. DIZY represented France at the youth level in international competition in Greco-Roman wrestling. Caldwell, NCAA Division I national champion in wrestling, which is, of course, folk style at North Carolina State. Both said, oh, my wrestling is much, much better. DIZY went so far as to say this is Greco versus freestyle.
Yeah, and who got taken down almost immediately?
The Greco-Roman fighter from France.
All right, what people don't understand, Greco-Roman is only from the waist up. They're not allowed to touch the legs. That's single leg easy for Darrion Caldwell. France not known for an outstanding wrestling program. Darrion Caldwell, I saw him wrestle in college. I was blown away by his ability. Unorthodox, explosive, physical. Saw him win his national title. Truly incredible wrestler.
Speaking of Greco, you see the grips on the bottom from DIZY.
The guy he beat, a guy named Brent Metcalf from Iowa. That kid's a stud. And Caldwell manhandled him.
Jimmy, I think for a lot of MMA fans watching this who aren't that familiar with the different disciplines of wrestling, you're seeing it here. Just in the handholds between DIZY out of Greco-Roman and Caldwell out of folk style / freestyle.
One of the differences is in the United States, there is no Greco-Roman program at the college level. Wrestlers are successful in folk style and freestyle and then transition to Greco generally later on in their career. So you hardly ever get a guy who's just a Greco guy.
Such as Joe Warren, NCAA Division I All-American at Michigan State that became a Greco-Roman wrestling world champion.
At Michigan. He was third his senior year. He can folk style wrestle. He can freestyle wrestle. Other countries in Eastern Europe, they start Greco-Roman much younger. A lot of times they don't do freestyle. They don't do folk style. So rarely do you get just a Greco guy in the United States.
See Caldwell hooking the far side leg of DIZY. Difficult going thus far for the Frenchman. Anthony DIZY, his U.S. and Bellator debut. Nearly swept Caldwell, but look at the fluidity of Darrion Caldwell.
Great balance, great explosion. He's the kind of guy you have to slow down. Got to really control the pace.
Caldwell just giving DIZY no space whatsoever right now. Caldwell said, I respect DIZY's takedowns. He might be able to take me down. He won't be able to hold me down. But it's Caldwell hitting the one takedown in this fight and holding DIZY down. DIZY has not been able to get up nor gain top position since that opening takedown of the fight.
Another thing about Greco, you just don't see the number of scrambles that you see in freestyle and folk style. It's a grinding, tight kind of wrestling style. It's very different. Not just in the rules, but the technique, the way they approach the sport.
Caldwell collapsing the legs of DIZY, bringing his knees together, then the left hand. DIZY now holding half guard. 50 seconds remaining, round number one of this featherweight fight.
Pick the tricep. We need to do damage here. Do some damage. I need some damage.
Caldwell's corner telling him we need to do some damage here.
Keep grinding on it.
I agree. Doing a good job of holding DIZY down, taking energy out of him, but not landing many strikes from the top position.
Smothering top game from Darrion CALDWEL. But not a lot of damage, not a lot of punches, elbows from this top position. Tremendous control, though.
Right there. Right into the body, then back to the head. Right into the body, then back to the head.
Darrion CALDWEL hitting a very early takedown, and he has held top position. DIZY worked
Okay. When we get pressure into this cage right here, I need to see you go to work a little bit. Okay?
Go to that arm.
DIZY thought that wrestling was equal, but look at this easy early takedown. The high crotch. And DIZY was on his back for the rest of the fight. Fake the right hand. Just pressuring him to the ground. Great angle, great dump.
Let's go, coaches, let's go. Up. Let's go. Stool, gentlemen, stool. Back.
Rob Hines having to remind CALDWEL's corner, you need to take the stool out.
Ready? Ready? Let's go, fight.
Second round, pretty easy for you, Jimmy. Round number 1 on your scorecard.
Yeah, easy 10-9, Darrion CALDWEL. Takedown, top control. Like I said, didn't do a ton with it in terms of his striking, but certainly controlled the first round.
Just saw a side kick low from Darrion CALDWEL. Find that head kick.
Darrion CALDWEL fights MMA the same way he wrestled.
Put that in.
Explosive, aggressive. He takes a lot of risks.
So DIZY loses mouthpiece, get it right back in. That was the slight delay. Time didn't need to be called from Rob Hines. That side kick from CALDWEL, bit of flash. That tells me Jimmy Darrion CALDWEL feeling really good about things.
In guillotine position here. He's going for it.
Going hard for the guillotine finishes Darrion CALDWEL.
He might get it. DIZY trying to pull his head out. Not able to use all of his hips, though, and he can't keep it.
See if Anthony DIZY can hold an established top position.
Going back to the guillotine. It's hard to do with one leg over the back because you can't get both hips in it. You can only really crank on one side.
DIZY popping his head free. As far from the top, though, he's been playing a lot more defense than offense, has Anthony DIZY.
With your foot.
DIZY now trying to go to work from his top game out of the half guard of Darrion CALDWEL. Jimmy, you and I both love pro boxing, both big boxing fans from when we were kids, but if you want to know the difference between the pro boxing business in 2014 and the pro MMA business in 2014, you will never, and I mean never, see two 5-0 prospects meet in pro boxing like we have in this fight. DIZY 5-0 as a prospect, CALDWEL 5-0 as a prospect.
Yeah.
If you're 5-0 in pro boxing as a prospect, you're facing 2-12.
Yeah.
There's some Ramada in somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot less padding of the record in MMA. You can see it here. It's a lot more forgiving of losses.
There are a lot of factors, but I would venture that's one of the reasons why our sport of mixed martial arts has really exploded, because you see these competitive fights early in prospects' careers. A lot fewer squashes in our sport.
The problem is in boxing, a lot of times the guy who's 20-5 is a stepping stone. That's considered a bum.
Yeah, if you lose within your first 12, you're terrible. You get out of the sport.
Yeah.
MMA, you can be 8-4 and wow, very talented after 12.
DIZY trying to work on top. CALDWEL doing a good job of wrapping him up, but DIZY putting pressure on CALDWEL, same way CALDWEL put pressure on him in the first round.
Continue to improve, gentlemen.
Call for action from Rob Hines.
Oh, it's in triangle position if you can scoot out that left leg. DIZY's got to put pressure on that foot. CALDWEL scrambling out.
Out the back door off of the scramble for Darrion CALDWEL, back to his feet. So we've seen both fighters hold top position on the ground. CALDWEL through the vast majority of round 1 and DIZY for that sequence here in round 2. That wasn't a knockdown, that was a level change from DIZY. See, though, Jimmy, that Anthony DIZY does have belief in his wrestling. He's not intimidated by Caldwell's ground game.
Man, good job by Caldwell getting behind him again.
One hook in, Darrion Caldwell. 50 seconds remaining, round number 2.
It's not in proper hip position to crank that rear naked.
Or in hand position.
Yeah. Just hold on to it, keeping pressure on DIZY.
Let's improve, gentlemen. Let's start to improve.
Just heard Rob Hines telling both fighters they need to improve their position. Heavy exhale from Anthony DIZY.
Continue to improve, gentlemen.
He looked tired after he popped up. When they were on the ground, he's putting a lot of pressure on Caldwell. When they got back to the feet, he took some deep breaths, hands very low.
Caldwell just has that smothering wrestling style.
Also his build, long legs, very athletic, hard to get up
Watch
again.
the back of that head.
Awkward position against the base of the fence. That's where we end round 2.
Time, let go. Up, up, up. Darrion, up. Up, 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 up. Sorry, up, let's go.
Caldwell very slow to get off of Anthony DIZY there after the bell sounded.
Okay, you got to start peppering.
Darrion, when I ask you to stop and get up, you need to get up off of him. Understand? Okay. Get it out. Get it out.
Rob Hines making his point.
Your head right now. I got you. I got you. No. We need a towel. I'll handle that. Okay? Right before we go. Okay? Now listen. You can pepper the shit out of this guy on the ground. You understand? He's got nothing for you on the straight cross.
Dès que tu es au sol, frappe bien. Contrôle les mains sur son corps quand tu frappes. D'accord?
Can't help you with the French, sorry.
Sorry, get out, out. Go. Right here, Darrion.
Rob Hines having more trouble with the Caldwell corner than he is with officiating this fight. He left the stool in between rounds 1 and 2 and slow to exit between rounds 2 and 3. But here we go, third and final round of this featherweight fight. The scorecard, Jimmy.
Can't have another Yoel Romero in tonight. The last thing we need. I have it all tied up, 1 round apiece. DIZY just putting the kind of pressure on Caldwell in the second round that Caldwell put on him in the first round. Very close, so that second round could have gone either way.
Push to the body from DIZY. Shot, there's the sprawl. No commitment that time, though, from Caldwell on the takedown.
No.
And a long-range shot.
High crotch by DIZY.
Anthony DIZY looking for the takedown.
And Caldwell doing a good job of defending. Nice hip pressure, crossface. Does a good job of snatching that ankle. Getting around him just like he did in that second round. This is how the second round ended, same position.
More of a crank position, no real commitment from Caldwell, lets it go. Look in deep from Darrion Caldwell, then takes it out. Jimmy's an MMA trainer. Would you rather have someone who did Greco-Roman wrestling at the international level or freestyle at the international level coming into MMA?
Freestyle, they generally just do more. I mean, they have a double leg, the single leg. Greco-Roman, the rules are much more limiting. You can't go below the waist. But, I mean, it's how you coach those guys. You got to coach them to use their advantages. Obviously, Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, great wrestlers, great MMA fighters with that Greco background.
Side control for Darrion Caldwell.
Well, like I said, the difference is in the United States, rarely do you just get one. You don't find someone who's just raised doing Greco-Roman wrestling.
Art Davey, of course, my great friend, tried to get Alexander Karelin, the greatest ever Greco-Roman wrestler, into mixed martial arts. Karelin did have the one fight in Japan, which I believe was a work against Akira Maeda. Karelin would have been interesting, especially in the early days of MMA.
Caldwell, this looks like the first round all over again. Putting pressure on DIZY. Not doing a ton with the ground and pound, just out-scrambling him on top. Every time DIZY tries to create space, tries to get back to his feet, CALDWEL just drags him back down.
And 55 remaining, third and final round. Round 3 looking a lot like round number 1 in the cage. Darrion CALDWEL not throwing a lot, but holding a smothering top position. Jimmy, I'm just happy we got our Akira Maeda reference in.
That's a good one.
When are your movie lines coming?
Whenever Cocoon gives it to you.
Let's start to improve, gentlemen. Let's improve.
Now Hines losing a bit of patience. He's trying to shrink to a better position. No joy, though, in doing so against Darrion CALDWEL.
Yeah, if there's been a weakness to Darrion CALDWEL's game in this fight, it's been his inability to land really effective ground and pound. He's done a good job of holding DIZY down, but you got to make a guy pay for making these kinds of positional mistakes. And so far, he hasn't really done that in terms of his striking. A lot of refs really intolerant in these kind of positions. They start standing up real fast.
Watch your back of his
Open
head,
half guard held by DIZY.
And one of the things is DIZY keeps scrambling. DIZY keeps making it busier than it has to be. If he kind of held on, maybe the referee would stand him up again. I think it's a tactical mistake by DIZY to keep moving. So Darrion CALDWEL moves, Darrion CALDWEL drags him down, so it's activity. There's no reason for the referee to stand him up again.
DIZY just lost his mouthpiece. It was picked up by Hines, but Hines has to wait for a neutral position. As long as CALDWEL's working, time won't be called. DIZY has to fight on without the mouthpiece. Stretch drive in this fight now. Body lock from the bottom. The bell in the end of the fight. That is a tired-looking Anthony DIZY. In the absolute closing seconds of the fight, you see split open in his forehead. I think, Jimmy, by an elbow from Darrion CALDWEL.
Yeah, he turned it on late in the fight. Side up, landed some effective ground and pound. Didn't do it throughout the fight, did it in spurts, and that's when that got cut open.
Jimmy, you made an outstanding point at the end of the fight. CALDWEL not doing a lot in top position, but DIZY doing so much almost against himself in bottom position that Hines wasn't going to stand it up. We'll learn the winner of this fight. And then Jimmy will speak to the former Strikeforce champion Marloes Koenen, the outstanding Dutch fighter set to make her Bellator debut. Jimmy, your final scorecard, Anthony DIZY, Darrion CALDWEL?
29-28 CALDWEL. I gave him rounds 1 and 3.
We'll see who moves to 6-0 and who drops to 5-1. DIZY again, final